Hey guys, how's it going? Owners here. Welcome to a new Formula SimRacing video here. Highlights of the Pro season. It's time for the third round, which is the Chinese Grand Prix, and heading out here for Q1 then. So, a track which doesn't really suit me, it has to be said. And well, most of you guys who have followed the previous season also know what happened here last season. First of all, I got crashed in the opening lap with someone not using launch control, and so he light up the rear tires on the start and then just spun, and I was collected in that incident on the start, but I was quite a way down the field. I don't even think I made Q2 that time, and that was purely down to pace. I just did not have the pace on this track, and so after a very good first two races here in this new season, in the 2015 season, you know, you obviously have a lot of confidence, and then to arrive at a track like this where you know that you didn't have the pace last year is quite tricky. But because of that, you also know that you only have to work harder, and hard work pays off. That's what I know right now, after the first two rounds, of course. But in Malaysia, definitely not having as much of an advantage as I had in Australia, although we don't really know, because obviously Nico crashed in Australia. We don't know whether he would have been close behind me or maybe he would have even won. Who knows? So we are in Q1 here. This is always a huge pile up here in Q1 actually. Usually you only have 26 drivers racing, but we had 29 today, which is more than it should be. But there were some issues with pre-qualifying. In pre-qualifying, the top 26 goes through and will race, and the three slowest will not race, and that was a bit messed up. So we have 29 drivers, and I even stand still there stationary just waiting for all these guys. It's quite insane. I should have gone out a little bit later, to be honest, but anyways, it's Q1, you know, you get a few laps in anyway, so it's not too bad. Soft and medium compound here, not too much of a difference. The race will be 34 laps long. Obviously starting the first qualifying lap right here, so coming through the final corner. Make sure you do not extend this, and the cutting and extending rules for FSR are a little bit different than real F1. In FSR the curbs also count as part of the track, so you can always keep two wheels within the curbs or on the curbs, and you will definitely see me using that quite a few times, obviously maximizing all the road available on the track. Putting the power down here, quite a solid first sector, nothing too interesting though, quite average. Braking now for turn 6, it is second gear, very tight corner. That is a typical corner where you need a lot of rotation on the front. We have talked about this in the last round as well, where I didn't have as much rotation on the car as Callas, who was then attacking us. So if Callas again has a lot of rotation on his car, he should be quick in turn 6, but it should also compromise the rear end grip through long corners, and there are quite a few long corners here around this track. One of them is turn 13, which we are approaching right now. This corner here is crucial. You need to put the power down, which is a little bit tricky. You see me short shifting there as well up to third gear. You need to slowly build up the power. If you are too keen with the throttle there, you will light up the rear tires and most likely spin unless you can really catch it. The DRS again wide open here for this straight, reaching about 328 kilometers an hour. As you slow the car down, the 100 meter board right there down to second gear for turn 15. A little bit deep into there, but you don't really want to go over that curb because sometimes I'll settle the car. One more corner to go here. Just go down the gears and watch how I extend this corner. See, I was outside the white lines, but as I said, the curbs also are part of the track. That's P1 in Q1 there, but obviously that's only after our first run, and I did another run, which you can see over here. I think I was up on my time at the end of the second sector, so I was quicker. Some people don't know whether up is quicker or down is quicker. When you are up on your time, you're quicker. When you're down on your time, you're slower. DRS is wide open there yet again. There's a bit of traffic in front, but they are on the lap, so we shouldn't get impeded. Once again going down to second gear, even first maybe. Yeah, I do indeed go to first, then I need to short shift again to second. First gear there just to get a little bit more rotation on the car. And this should be then a quicker lap. Let's have a look, one more corner to go. And then I go to white. So I abandon the lap. You know, if you do that, you may not really complete the lap. If that lap is quicker than your previous lap, which it was at that stage, you know, you're just gonna get a penalty, a back of the grid for the next race. That is something you don't want to do. I even got first with that time anyway. So skipping to Q2 then. Not seriously, don't do that. And you might think that I was not extending the corner, but there's like a part on the outside of the curb which is not the curb itself. It's like it looks like it actually has something to do with rain clearance on the track. It at least looks a little bit like that. If I can spot it again, like it's over here, right down here on the screen. Very hard to actually explain. It's usually there on the outside of the curb, there on the left hand side, now on the right hand side, like that outside part, left hand side again. I think it's it has something to do with rain, probably clearance for the track, so you don't get any kind of standing water. That's at least where I can think of, but that is not part of the curb, so you cannot touch that. I think it's right here on the right hand side as well, right there, and now it disappeared. Okay, I think you got it. So Q2 then, outlap. But confidence so far, I mean, it's looking really good. I had the confidence as well, whereas last year, as I said, I really struggled around this track. But this time it seemed to be a little bit better. I mainly focused again on the race pace. Didn't do much qualifying runs at all for this one, to be honest. I just felt confident anyway, so I don't really saw a lot of improvement in qualifying. And then it's better to do a little bit of race pace, in my opinion. Well, it obviously all depends on the driver preference, what you want to do. So the Q2 lap done, P1 in qualifying with a 0.6, I think it was. Let's see whether we can beat it here. Going down and putting the power down. DRS wide open then for this first DRS and a stunning lap right now. So we'll go on board here, cockpit cam, and then we go through the first couple of corners. Watch the speed on the entry here, going down the gears. Third gear, second gear, then a wide entry here. Go back to the apex, although I'm too deep into there. Missing my apex quite a bit. And again here, oversteer as well. Costing me another 10th, I would say. Try to put the power now though hard on the power, that's for sure. I need to make up for the mistakes I've made. Maybe lost 1 or 2 tenths even there already in the first sector. They're slowing down once again for turn 6. Down to second gear. A little bit deep again. Could have been worse though. Get just hard on the power, that's what you want to do. That's what I did. Then turn 7, I think this is. Flat out. Then position yourself for turn 8, go to the left hand side, swing it in, down the gears, down to third gear, touching the curb. Not really the ideal line there though, you want to touch the curb a little bit later. Then turns 9 and 10, get on the power here. This is very easy to lose the car on the exit there. Keep it within the track limits as well, up to 6th gear. Break it 100 meter board for the second sector. A decent sector could have been better though. It was actually quite average, and I think at this stage I was about 2 tenths down on Michele D'Alessandro, who currently is in pole position with a 0.6 actually. I think it's a 0.610, so I'm 2 tenths down after all those mistakes I have made. A very scruffy lap so far from my side, and then you have only this final sector to go. I didn't expect to get pole anymore, but who knows, just nail the final sector, and then we'll see what happens. One more, or this is the penultimate corner. And there we go, hard on the power, nailing the curb there though, got quite light on the brake as well. One more corner to go, watch the speed here on the entry, then get on the power, very hard. DRS wide open again for the run to the line, and is it pole position? It is pole position with a 609, that's only a thousandth of a second quicker than D'Alessandro, I think. What did Carlos do? Carlos only 5th place, so Carlos puts himself up in 5th place, and in the end of that, it indeed was only 1/1000th of a second, and that is insane. I'll leave a video in the description here of this video, and it's a video actually made by Michele D'Alessandro, and it's a comparison lap between him and me, and then you can see what 1/1000th of a second looked like. I indeed was about 2 tenths down, I think, in the end of the second sector, but I had a much better final sector than Michele D'Alessandro, and that really gave me pole. But 1/1000th of a second, you don't see that every day, do you? Was Nico them in 4th, I think. Christoph in 3rd, I think. So Christoph, our teammate, also did quite a good job in starting the formation up here. So second pole of the season, and obviously I'm happy with that. But to be honest, I think at the end of the qualifying session that I was quite lucky actually. I made, well, especially in the first sector, quite a few mistakes, which really can cost you a few tenths as we run down through the grid. But yeah, just had a good final sector, while D'Alessandro was probably a little bit more conserved in the final sector. That's what you do, you know, when you make a mistake like that, you're only going to be more aggressive. Sometimes it plays out well, sometimes it doesn't. In that case it did. Running through the grid here once again. We saw Greg Baxter in 7th, who it's his first race actually, so qualifying in 7th place is obviously quite impressive for a newcomer. I'll keep an eye out on how we do in the race. that's for sure. Again, running down the grid. This 29 car grid then, which is a lot of cars, has to be said. And Eastman there, Sergio Rodriguez, Pascal, and James. So James is here as well. He had a back of the grid penalty though. It's actually 28 cars, so someone must have disconnected or something like that. Oh yeah, I think someone had wheel issues actually. Who was it again? Will Barnes, I think. I think Will Barnes is not here, but it might be wrong. Anyway, trying to bunch up the field here a little bit more because it is such a large field. Trying to bunch these guys up as much as I can so I don't have to stay stationary on the grid for a long time. Otherwise it will cook up the engine and obviously the tires are going to be much more cooled down. Entering the first corner, indeed going very slowly there. Pole position then, not bad. Now I just need to translate that as well into a good start. And then try to pull away from the Alessandro. I was much more confident for the race pace than qualifying, but even being first in qualifying, that's obviously not bad if you are more confident for the race. A few more burnouts then, heartbeat rising here. One more burnout. Maybe another one. Yeah, let's do another one. Tiny one. And then go into the grid slot, and then it's just, you know, waiting. The way the game is on here, you stare at those lights. You want them to go on as quick as possible, otherwise the tires are going to cool down. We are on board with James here, who's the final car to line up on the grid then. As the engine temperature is also increasing right now. Just waiting for these guys to get into the grid slot, and then the third round of the season is underway. Need to get a good start here. You could go side by side into turn 1, but preferably I want to be ahead of the Alessandro, of course. So waiting for the lights to come on, which they do so. Now we have 1 light, we have 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And the lights are out, and away we go for this third round of the season. Let's have a look at our start. The start has not been that great at all. I think the Alessandro is already on the inside. Yes, he is indeed. I'm going to have to go around the outside if I can. As I said, you can go side by side in here. Braking much later for turn 1 than the Alessandro. Can I also stick it on the track and not fly off the track? Yes, I can indeed. Taking back the first position, and we'll have a look obviously at the replay of the start later. Alessandro in second, and Nikodem jumped Christoph at the start. So Nikodem Wisniewski is in third place at the moment. And that's the first couple of corners done. Then Alessandro almost taking me there. I had to do something. I did not want to lose that first position straight away there at the start. So I just had to go around the outside, and you've just got to pray that those tires have glue underneath them or something like that, and they stick to the track, which they luckily did. And so I'm back in that first position then, but Alessandro straight away at the start here, showing what he is made of. Carlos is 5th here, so he has managed to stay there. And Carlos is our main rival in this championship. Obviously we have won 2 races out of the first 2 rounds, which means we're at 100 points. You get 50 points for the race win. You get 40 points for a second place. And I think, yeah, Sander Carlos was second in the last 2 rounds, so that means he's 20 points behind us. I want to try to, you know, open up the gap to him if I can. And currently it's looking good because he is only 5th. So, obviously it's lap 1 out of 34 though. Still plenty of things can happen. But currently staying ahead of the Alessandro. Obviously the DRS has not been enabled yet. And then we see Nikodem then, who had a good start, passing Christoph. Final corner. Keep it within the track limits. A little bit of a moment there for Alessandro in my dirty air. And that's lap 2 then out of 34. So at this moment I saw that I could not really pull away from the Alessandro, can I? So we are in this first corner here. Very long right-hander, very tough on the front left tire, that's for sure. But also you need to pay attention to the rear tires a lot around this track. The rear tires are really key in this race in my opinion, because there are certain traction points around this track which are really important. One of them is this one here, the exit of turn 6. You need a lot of traction there, but mainly the exit of turn 3 and 4, and then also turn 13. And also the exit here of turns 9 and 10, which are coming up soon. This is turn 8, and then this is turn 9, and then comes 10. This might not look that hard, but trust me, it is super hard to put the power down there. You're usually short shifting through that corner, and also if you touch the curb, the outside curb of turn 9, it is basically an auto spin curb. It really is. When you touch it and you go over it with too much throttle, it's very unforgiving, and it can spin you around easily. Anyway, lap 2 out of 34, then going a little bit defensive, not too much though, trying to keep him a little bit out of my slipstream, but I see that is not working. So the gap is about 6-7 tenths I would say, but obviously the Alessandro will be closing down his straight. I went with quite a low downforce actually compared to the opponents, I believe. just like Malaysia really. And so far it's working out pretty well. But obviously the DRS is yet to come into play as we complete the second lap then, and we're going to skip right now actually to the end of lap 5. There we go. Nothing changed here. The Alessandro is still behind us and he is following us. I really have been trying to pull away a little bit and create a gap to him, but I just could not do it. And so that means the Alessandro is still behind us. He's doing very well so far, and let's not count out Nicodem, you know, he's in that 3rd place. If Alessandro and me have some kind of collision, it will be Nicodem who will probably go away with the lead, so need to watch out for that one as well. You see Alessandro there being pretty confident on the power as well, but after 4 laps or so I saw that I probably was not going to pull away from these guys. I mean, they have incredible pace, and so I started to settle down a little bit and try to conserve the tires, because it's quite a marginal 2-stop here if you are, you know, too keen with the tires and you cook them up too much, especially front left. But as I said, the rear tires are also very important here. Listen to the engine. Short shift. And flat out there. So, you know, you're not flat out right in the middle of the corner. If you do that, you're gone. You cannot do that. You've got to slowly build up the power. Same for this corner here, turn 13. But this corner is well, very crucial. As to go very, very wide there, taking definitely a different line compared to the Alessandro trying to straighten up the car a little bit earlier. But seems like the Alessandro is really close behind us. He will also have DRS. Remember, it's about a 4/10 gap. This might be an opportunity for the Alessandro to pass me. I'm going to have to go defensive for turn 14. Here we go, the Alessandro very close behind us. But I'm having the inside line here. Just going to have to brake late. The Alessandro will try to go around the outside, and he cannot do it, I think. No, he just about cannot, but the Alessandro opening up the attack here. Gonna have to go defensive once again, probably for the main straight here. Trying to have a good exit, hard on the power there, much earlier on the power than the Alessandro, but obviously the Alessandro had the dirty air effect as well. Now his DRS will be wide open again for this straight. Seems like he's too far back though. Luckily there that I have a little bit of less downforce than him. We'll have a look at the replay here soon from the start and from that move as well. The Alessandro taking a much tighter line through that first corner. It's actually working quite well for him. Probably running a little bit more front wing downforce, I would say, if you judge by looking at that, as Christoph in 4th cannot really hold on to Nicodem in lap 6 here. But let's have a look at the replay. So the start first then. Lights came on and they went out. It's quite hard to see from this point of view, but the Alessandro definitely with the better start than me. We'll have a look soon, as my engine was also smoking, so it got quite hot there. But then just keeping it around the outside, and then you need to be careful here where it tightens up. Be careful that I don't drive his front wing off, and be careful that Alessandro doesn't drive his front wing off. Luckily no collision was made there, but as soon as I knew that I had this bad start, it was already in my mind. I had it already in my mind that I had to go around the outside there. I was not gonna give that position away that easily. And so you position yourself there already, you know. I'm much more to the left hand side compared to the other cars, trying to open up that corner as much as possible. And then again here it gets a little bit tight, and make sure that you don't hit any front wings. And then in between the corners you've got to give a little bit of a squirt of a throttle really, just to stay ahead then. Here we go, this is Christoph's point of view. I didn't have any kind of wheel spin. In fact, I didn't have any wheel spin at all. Maybe I was not keen enough with the power. You saw me there being much more to the left hand side compared to Christoph, opening up this corner a lot more. Instead you've just got to pray that you don't fly off the track then, which luckily did not happen. And then here's where you usually give a little bit of squirt with the throttle, just to stay ahead. Luckily though, you could stay ahead of Alessandro there, but he almost got past. And here as well, look at this. This is a great camera point of view actually. Went to the inside here, the Alessandro was already in the ref limiter, so nothing he could have done anymore. And luckily, you know, the gap was 4/10 when he opened up the DRS, so that's quite a close gap. And that shows as well that the low arrow downforce here helped me quite a bit there. One more point of view here, but a pretty straightforward move. I had the inside line. Looks cool though, doesn't it? They're side by side. Great camera point of view there. And that's the replays done then. So skipping to lap 9 here. Alessandro is still behind us. Will we go for the undercut? No, he does not. I'm very sorry for not talking about this yet, but the pit window should open in about lap 9. This the pit window could be open here, but lap 10 is pretty much the ideal place or lap where you want to pit. But look at those tires, they don't look that healthy anymore. So I presume we'll go into the pit this time. Look at the front left, you can see a lot of blisters on that tire. Quite a bit of tire graining and tire wear, of course. think about corners, you know, mainly the first corner, but also corners like 8 and turn 13. You know, long right-handers put a lot of stress on the front left tire. Definitely not helping the tire wear. This is turn 8. Going down the gears there. There's a little bit of a, I think it's a track issue or glitch or bug rather. On the inside of the curb there, of turn 8, it doesn't match up. Like the curbs and the line doesn't match up. So I'll show you what I mean next lap if we get around there. It's quite annoying though as a driver. Almost every lap I looked at it. I don't know why. And Alessandro again behind me, but that seemed like too much of a gap. Look at the lights on the dash though. Definitely not revving out at all. So obviously there's still quite a bit of space to reach a higher top speed for me. But obviously it's high fuel and I don't have DRS. Excuse me. So it seems like we will be flying into the pit lane here. Yes, indeed. We do. Also trying to fend off the undercut. I could have gone another lap, but the Alessandro would have gone for the undercut and would have passed me. So you were going to the pit lane. Make sure you activate the pit limiter in the right time. But I think we did that, so no issues there. Michiel's pit lane is, or pit box rather, is right at the beginning there. Mine is right at the end. So stopping there, make sure you do not miss your box, which we did a lot of time in the previous season. Luckily though, I have learned from that. Look at the tire compound Alessandro chose. He went for the medium tire. I'm on the soft. Okay, so strategy is going to play a role here. With Alessandro on the medium and I'm on the soft. And the soft tire should be about 2 to 3, 4 perhaps tenths quicker. If not a little bit more compared to the medium tire around this track. But the effect the soft tires have level out quite quickly. After lap 8 or so, the medium tire, obviously with the less wear, is quite a nice tire to drive on actually. It's obviously a bit more consistent than the softs as well, as the softs wear a little bit more. But at this time I did not know that Alessandro was on the medium tire. I did think though here that I had to push really hard. I was pushing very hard at this stage. In the previous lap, so lap 10 around this stage, I thought, well, let's go to the pit, fend off the undercut. But then when I exit the pits, I want to try to create a gap over a second. I don't want him to be the whole race in my DRS zone, preferably, obviously. Because, you know, if you make a mistake then, on the exit of perhaps here turn 13, which is quite easy to do, we'll lose a lot of time. Well, as I said, you don't really want to do that, and then he gets an opportunity. So I thought about pushing very hard here. And at this stage I thought it went pretty well, because I opened up the gap. So I have a lock up there. You can see me there pushing a little bit more. Missing my apex though. That definitely didn't give me any kind of time locking up there. See another car in the pit in front. I think that's Algepius. I really don't know how to pronounce that name. So we're skipping to the end of lap 17, and now we'll have a look whether I have done a good job creating a gap to Alessandro. There we go, hitting the curb there. There is Alessandro, so about a 3-second gap I would say at the end of lap 17. And I have to say that the Alessandro, at this stage I probably knew that he was on the medium, because I was so much quicker really over this stint so far. I mean, suddenly I have a 3-second gap while he was during the first stint the whole time behind me. So I did think that he was on the medium tire. I hope he wasn't obviously, but yeah, using a clever sense or common sense I would say, you obviously know that he is most likely on the medium, which is indeed the case as we see him there. There is me on the exit and there is him. So indeed about a 3-second gap. So I opened it up, but not by much at all, is it? It certainly is not a lot at all, but we'll have another undercut. There's a back marker in front. That is I think Ben Eastman. We'll have another undercut here though, you know, in lap 20 is when we are probably going to pit, maybe lap 21, if I want to have a bit fresher tires, as the back marker is catching me out a little bit here. We'll have the DRS on him though, so we should gain some time back we have lost. And he indeed goes out of the way nicely. In lap 20 we will pit, 21, perhaps something around there. And he will still be on old medium tires for a lap or two, which should give us another few seconds, and then you have about 11 laps to make sure that you have enough of a gap to him and take the win towards the end of the race. But so far, pretty controlled race, not making too many mistakes. At the beginning of this stint though, I had a few mistakes of this stint which really bothered me, because I knew that this stint was going to be crucial First of all, I wanted to create that gap, as I said to the Alessandro, because you have a little bit of a buffer then. And as I said, I was getting fed up with him being in my DRS the whole time and watching my mirrors. It's actually nice to have a little bit of a gap, so I really pushed. But he's obviously on the medium tire, so we can only see towards the end of the race really what the gap is like. Medium tire, well, lost about 15, 14 laps, something like that, depending on how you treat it as well. Obviously, the fantastic thing with this rFactor 2 tire model is that you really need to be in control of your tires. You really need to be careful on them and take care of your tires. For example, if you are going to do one hot lap in your race stint, like let's say you push for one lap very hard, it can give you a couple of tenths, but in the next lap your tires are overheated, which will have first of all consequences for the rest of your stint, because you have more tire wear because of higher temperature, but also because of the next lap you will lose those couple of tenths, you know. So it's so important to find that consistency of or the right balance between pushing and cruising. And this is the gap I have to Alessandro as we are going to pit. But remember, that gap will be a little bit bigger than it is right now when we are on the first set of medium tires, unless the Alessandro pits here as well and goes for medium tires too. But I don't think he will do that. I heavily doubt it, and he indeed doesn't. So we'll go into the pit lane, make sure you don't do a Hamilton 2007 there, and activate the pit limiter in the right time, which we did. So another pit stop here, final pit stop of today. A 2-stop race here, obviously. Then spot the pit box. I've been getting questions about this, by the way. In the replay here, you don't see any kind of pit crew or anything like that. Well, I can tell you there is no pit crew, but in the game you see a red arrow, and your box is highlighted with a red color, so you do know where to stop. But it is important actually in the warm-up to do a pit stop, because in the warm-up, which is the session before the race here, you get a 10-minute time frame, which I never show in my videos, to do a race like little stint, you know, a little simulation stint, you know, high fuel, get used to the fuel before you actually race. And during that stint, it's actually 5 minutes, I think, not 10. And during that warm-up, you can go into the pits and do a practice pit stop, because the pit box you're going to use in the warm-up, you will also use it in the race, so you know where your pit box is. That's something I did not do last year, by the way, which is another reason why I, you know, usually missed it, because I was always looking for my pit box. But now I obviously know where it is, which is a little bit more, it gives a bit more comfort, and it's obviously better. So 13 more laps to go here, but while I've been talking about the pit box, it has been a crucial lap so far. This is really the time where I need to push very hard right now. Just create those extra tenths to Alessandro and have that buffer when he will be on the softer tire. But we might have an interesting race here if he catches up towards us in the end of his stint. In the Ace race, which is the division above Pro, and it actually was a race which comes before this race, and I usually commentate on it, as we see Christoph here, I believe. Yeah, Christoph is right here, still on the soft. But on the Ace race here, we saw a battle for the lead in the final lap of the race. And Michi Hoyer won that race by overtaking Paschalis Georgius in the final sector of the race. So yeah, I definitely knew at this stage that it was not game over yet, but obviously it's looking good. 12 more laps to go though. These medium tires don't have as much traction as the soft one, and I think Michele pitted. That is the Alessandro indeed on the soft tire, and the Alessandro has pitted. We'll have a look what the gap is visually, and then I will say what the gap really is. With the thing in rFactor, I cannot show any kind of seconds to the next car, because there is not really that kind of replay yet. And if there is, then please let me know, because I would like to use it. It would obviously be fantastic if you guys could see how much the gap is. So we have a back marker here, but both me and Christoph are getting through, and Christoph on all tires here is holding me up a little bit here. Let's see whether he moves out of the way here. Obviously my teammate, but he doesn't, and he has the right to not move out of the way, because this is all for position. But I presume we will get past anyway in this DRS zone here. Look at that, very close behind him, picking up the dirty air as well, losing a few tenths, but remember that we will have DRS, and so that should gain us a little bit more time right in the slipstream of Christoph here. He doesn't bother defending. DRS wide open for me then. There we go, nicely hitting the ref limiter already, so very early because of the slipstream advantage as well. Then brake late, make sure you nail the apex. There we go, and that's another position gain that, but obviously Christoph did not put up a fight. And we should see Christoph in the pit lane right now, something like that. Or keeps he going? Okay, he keeps on going. Oh, there's a little bit of a track extension there. So, lap 22 out of 34. We skipped to the end of lap 26. And now it's the question where Michele D'Alessandro is. And there he is. Ooh, going a bit wide after that corner. That's about a... what is it? That's a back marker. There is the Alessandro. That took quite a long while, didn't it? It's looking quite sunny for us. 7 more laps to go. This is the gap. Wow. You would say that that's enough, you know. That's what you would say when you visually judge. And I can tell you, I think the gap when Michele went out of the pit was about 7 seconds. At this stage it was about 6 or 5.5 seconds. If I remember correctly. So he is indeed gaining on us. But that's exactly what I expected, and that's why I wanted to have such a big gap, or a big of a gap as possible. As we see another back marker in front of us. You have this little bit of a buffer then, and you just need to bring it home here then. But obviously you can't afford to make a mistake, otherwise you will be right on our tail probably towards the end of the race. Obviously depending as well on how big the mistake is. So behind Lionel Clue here, who goes nicely to the inside, and also picking up a little bit of slipstream here. Do I even have DRS? I think I do. Yep. And there we go then. So that's 329 kilometers an hour as we slow the car down, which is quite a lot. Most drivers were running or hitting the rev limiter at about 325. People with a high downforce configuration or just what's the word here? Like a different gear setting. They rev out at 322 kilometers an hour, obviously depending on that gearing setup. But we skipped to the end of lap 33, and I can tell you that nothing interesting happened other than the Alessandro closing the gap, and there he is behind us. This stage the gap was about 3 seconds, so he gained quite a bit of time on me over the course of the last 6 laps or so. The gap went down from 6 seconds to about 2.5 to 3 seconds at this stage. There he is. That's about that's about 2.5, I would say, 2.6. So he indeed closed down, but we only have 1 more lap to go, and it seems very sunny for us. Struggling a little bit with the front left tire wear. As you can imagine, I was pushing at the beginning stage of this stint, and as I said, it compromises the rest of your stint, and so did it here, but I had no other choice there. I just had to open up a nice gap to the Alessandro. And you know, the gap is 2.5 seconds, but how I always look at it is the gap is 1.5 seconds. You might wonder why. Well, if the car behind you gets within DRS, it makes it so much easier, and the DRS window is obviously within a second. So I always try to keep the car behind me outside of the DRS window, and from there onwards you are usually quite safe, unless you make a mistake, of course. But you know, where I would have made a mistake perhaps in the previous season, I haven't made a mistake yet. I don't think in this season so far. Well, at least not a big mistake. We obviously don't have perfect races, they don't exist. And neither for me here. I remember hitting the curb, the outside curb of the exit of turn 9, which could have easily spun me there. It actually lost me a few tenths as I had to back out of the throttle. Otherwise I would have been spun around. But you know, not the kind of mistakes I made before. We have just 3 more corners to go, and I say 3 more corners because this is one, but I think this one counts as well as a corner. This one. I have no idea why. I really do not know why that counts as a corner, but this is turn 16 anyway. So coming through the final corner and taking home another win. That is 3 out of 3 wins, and as you can see, I was super happy with this victory. I really was very happy with this victory. But let's be honest, D'Alessandro kept us very realistic during this race. It was Carlos in Malaysia who was behind us all the time and was actually quicker than us but couldn't overtake. Maybe D'Alessandro was quicker than us here as well, but he also could not overtake. And these are the results then. 1.6 seconds was the gap eventually. But look at the gap to Carlos, who in the end even overtook Nicodem. I don't know whether Nicodem made a mistake or anything like that. He might have made it because he was close to us before, but I think it went wrong for him in the second stint. So Carlos taking 3rd and Christoph I think was 5th. Here's the championship standings then. So 3 out of 3, and that means we're at 150 points. And Carlos then still in second with 112. But that gap has opened up a little bit since Carlos didn't finish second here. So it has been a very positive weekend here for us, where it was a poor weekend previous year. It is a good weekend here, and taking then another victory, and as you can see, I was very happy with it. Doing a few donuts there. And yeah, as I said, really happy with that. I was quite mature about the first victory in Australia, probably also because of Nicodem's incident. In Malaysia I was quite happy with it, but here I was even happier with it. I mean, 3 out of 3. You do suddenly realize then that things are going very well and hard work pays off. So we look at Bahrain then, which will be the next race in 3 weeks time, so that's quite a long break. And I will enjoy that break, but at the same time work hard as always for Bahrain. These were the 2 races, Malaysia and China, where I thought I would be at my worst. But in fact, we picked up another 2 victories. Let's hope it will be the same in Bahrain. I thank you for watching, and goodbye.